In this video, let us learn pattern programs in Java. So the patterns indicates a set of characters or numbers. We can print it in a specific pattern. It can be a rectangle or triangle, any shape we can able to print it. So we can take one example, ash. The same thing we can able to print it in a rectangle shape. So the main purpose of exploring the pattern programs, it improves it improves the coding skills, and it improves the logical thinking. So again, based on the pattern programs, we can understand the execution behavior of execution behavior of nested looping statements. So the main purpose of pattern program, the fundamental goal is to improve the coding skills and to improve the logical thinking. So that is the purpose only we need to practice pattern programs. So in the above pattern, it contains 3 rows and 5 columns. The rows will be taken care by outer loop. Currently there are 3 rows are available, so the outer loop should run 3 iterations. So the columns will be controlled by inner loop. So currently the inner loop, how many columns? It contains 5. This row contains 5 hash symbols, so hash characters. So inner loop should run 5 iterations. So this is the fundamental concept with respect to any kind of pattern. First we need to make sure how many rows are available and how many columns are available. The rows are controlled by outer loop and the columns are controlled by inner loop. So now we can try to design the same pattern in a IntelliJ IDE. First we need to create one package. The package name pattern programs. So in the pattern programs, we can design a pattern programs using for loop. So now we can perform the pattern programs using for loop now. So it should contain a main method, and we'll try to comment this particular. We'll try to provide a multi-line comment. In multi-line comment, we can provide the same pattern we can provide here. The same pattern we need to provide. Now based on this particular pattern, we need to design and we need to write a program looping statement, and we need to design the same pattern. So as we discussed previously, this pattern contains 3 rows and 5 columns. So the rows are controlled by the outer loop. So int I is equal to 1, I less than equal to 3, and I plus plus. So since it contains 3 rows, we kept the for loop for 3 iteration. And it contains 5 columns. For that purpose, int j equal to 1, j less than equal to 5, and j plus plus. 5 iterations our inner loop should run. The concept is in this way. After printing 5 iteration, it has to apply the new line. So we'll try to print out println. We need to print hash with one space. As soon as if we can execute, the interesting thing, it will print all hashes in a single line. Yes. Suppose if I can write println here, it will print all the hash around how many 15 hash characters in a single column. So we don't want to single column, so we don't want to print in a only for rows or columns. We would like to print in a specific pattern. For that purpose we have to use println print. So after printing 5 characters, so how the outer loop and inner loop works? The outer loop one iteration. So first I is equal to 1, I less than equal to 3 and I plus plus. Whether 1 is less than equal to 3, yes, it enters into the body of the for loop. So it will execute the inner loop for 5 times. After executing the 5 times, again it will increment the I value, again it goes to outer loop. Before moving to outer loop, it has to be apply new line character. Now if we can print, it provides the appropriate the pattern. What the pattern we have expected, the same pattern only it is displaying. Now we can try to display the same pattern by using while loop. Using while loop. So we should provide the main method. So now we need to write the while. First we need to see the number of rows are taken care by outer loop. We need to initialize int I is equal to 1. And while we need to provide I less than equal to 3. And it should contains I plus plus. So because it should contain initialization and condition and increment. So now the each row contains 5 hash character. It means it contains 5 columns. So the columns are controlled by inner loop. Int j is equal to 1 while j less than equal to 5 and j plus plus. So now we need to print the character now. So how we need to print means we have to print in a hash with a space. After printing on complete row, we need to apply the which one? New line character. Now as soon as we can execute by using while loop, we can print the appropriate pattern. So the next one, the same pattern we can try to design by using do while loop. Using do while loop. So it should contains main method. So now we can copy paste the same pattern. This is the same pattern we need to design. So now we need to design. So again here also same thing. The outer loop should run, outer do while loop should run 3 iteration, inner do while loop should run 5 iteration. So int I is equal to 1. So now we need to provide do while I less than equal to 3 and I plus plus we need to provide because it contains initialization and condition and increment. The same inner loop should contain one more do while loop because it's supposed to take care about columns. Int j equal to 1 while j less than equal to 5. So here we are supposed to print hash with one space and we need to perform the increment. After printing complete one row, we need to apply the new line character. As soon as if we can execute, it prints the same what with the pattern we have expected. Now in this particular line number 18, I didn't provide the semicolon, so it was provided the compilation error. Now after fixing that particular compilation error, Again, if we can execute, it provides the same pattern. So the same pattern we have performed this particular pattern we have performed on for loop, while loop and do while loop. So now we can try to discuss about one more pattern. One. So now I need to provide 1 2 and 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5. So how we can able to discuss how to design this kind of pattern. So how many rows here? Rows. So here rows. So here how many rows means it contains 5 rows. So the outer loop should run 5 iteration. 5 iteration. So what about inner loop? How many columns it contains? So columns. See, one observation here. First row contains only one column. Second row contains 2 columns. Third row contains 3 columns. See, in this case, when outer loop first iteration, inner loop should run only one iteration. Okay. Next again, when outer loop one iteration, inner loop the outer loop one iteration, inner loop should run only one iteration. When outer loop two iteration, we can say one or first iteration. When I value is 1. When the outer loop second iteration, inner loop should run 2 iteration, 1 and 2. Inner loop should run first and second iteration. So when outer loop is third iteration, inner loop should run first, second and third iteration. In this manner only it should run. Then only we can able to design. So we can try now how to do this particular one. So now pattern program using for loop 2. So it should contains main method, and we design the same pattern here. We can try to design the same pattern. So we can take the same pattern, copy and paste it here. So since it contains 5 rows, as directly we can provide int I is equal to 1, I less than is equal to 5, and I plus plus, as we can directly write 5 iteration. What about inner loop? When I values 1, inner loop should run only one time. When I values 2, inner loop should run first and second time, 2 iteration. When I values 3, inner loop should run 3 times. When I values 4, inner loop should run 4 times. When I values 5, inner loop should run 5 times. So now I would like to write in this way: for int j is equal to 1. So j less than equal to, I just provide I, and j plus plus. So now if we can print, so we can try to print which value means j value, because we need to print the j value only. J with, I would like to provide one space. After printing this one, I would like to apply the new line character. As soon as if we can execute, see, it provides the same pattern only. So again, so this representation in this way: when the I value is 1, the inner loop should run only one iteration. When I value is 2, inner loop should run 2 times. That's the reason it is printing 1 and 2. When the I value is 3, outer loop third iteration, the inner loop should run 3 times, 1 2 3. So again we can try to print one more looping statement, one more pattern. So that is one called, so you need to print 1, it should be 2, 2, and last one called 5, 5, 5, 5. So how we can able to print this kind of pattern? Again here also an observation. What is the observation? Rows, 5 rows. It contains 5 rows. Outer loop should run 5 iteration. But what about columns? So when outer loop 1 iteration, inner loop should run only 1 iteration. A same concept. When outer loop is second iteration, inner loop should run first and second iteration. But here one small change. What is the change means? Here this particular value, see carefully observe, when the outer loop I value is 1, the inner loop should run 1 only. When the outer loop is I value is 2, inner loop should run only 2 times. So that's the reason this also works based on the same manner. But instead of printing the inner loop value, it's supposed to print outer loop value. Instead of printing the inner loop value, it's supposed to print outer loop value only. So now we can start writing this particular program. So pattern program, programs using for loop 3. Now we need to provide this particular loop, and it should contains the main method. So we need to write the main method, and we need to copy paste this particular pattern. The pattern, everything, the pattern is, the main thing is nothing but which one? The controlling of outer loop and inner loop along with space. So this is the way we can able to control the pattern. So now it contains 5 rows. So we supposed to run how many times means 5 iteration. 5 iteration means the outer loop should run 5 times. We can write the outer loop now for int I is equal to 1, I less than is equal to 5, and I plus plus, because we have 5 rows. So that's the reason we have written an outer loop for 5 iteration. Now the inner loop is in this way, int j is equal to 1 and j less than equal to I only, and j plus plus. So now we supposed to print. It is just exactly as similar to our previous example, previous pattern. Which is the previous pattern? It looks like our previous pattern called this one only. But one small changes we need to do here. What are the changes? So first I need to print 1 times. The inner loop should run 2 times, 2 only it has to print, and in the third iteration 3 times it has to print 3 only. So that's the reason we need to provide the value, print I value only we need to provide. Now if we can execute, it provides this particular pattern. Yes, we can able to get the same result only we can able to get. So one more pattern we can discuss here, one more pattern called, suppose we would like to print A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J and K, L, M, N, O. So this is nothing but a character. The characters we need to print as similar in right angle triangle. How to do here? Here also, how many rows? 5 rows. It has to be printed. Outer loop should run 5 iterations. The inner loop should run how many times? So the same manner only it's supposed to print. But here we need to print the not numbers, the characters we need to print. So we can write a program, pattern program using for loop. It is a fourth one. So again we need to provide the main method now. So which is the pattern means we can copy paste this particular pattern. So here one observation here, it contains 5 rows and columns are for outer loop. If I value is 1, the inner loop should execute only one time. When the I value is 2, outer loop value is 2, the inner loop should run 2 iteration. But here instead of numbers, it's supposed to print a sequence of characters. So how we can able to achieve means int I is equal to 1, I less than equal to 5 and I plus plus. And we are providing for int j equal to 1 and j less than equal to I value and j plus plus. And now we are supposed to print the value. Which value we are supposed to print? So we will try to print a character. Char ch is equal to uppercase A. The same character we can substitute and the same character we need to increment ch plus plus. So now after printing one particular row, we should apply the new line character. As soon as we can execute, it prints the same pattern in the console. So in this way we can able to print any kind of pattern. So as much as possible, if we can execute the programs, we can improve our programming skills. Okay, thank you.